It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
Steve, does Dillon Johnson stay at Mississippi State or does he go somewhere else?
Well, I guess that's probably the million-dollar question at this point. You know, there's been a lot of ebb and flow with all this. He was here on campus, 2 weekends ago and visiting friends, and it seemed real optimistic. And then over the course of last week, it doesn't seem quite as likely as it once did. And if I had to call it today, I'd say he probably is not at Mississippi State next year. And that's unfortunate. Of course, it was a very difficult situation. There were some things that were, posted on social media. And, of course, Coach Mike Leach, God rest his soul, said some things that were not flattering about Dillon Johnson. So there are no winners here in this situation. But I do think Dillon Johnson has given State, a very solid look this time through. But the reality of it is State's going to have, 4 scholarship running backs. So it's not necessarily a need for Mississippi State. It's a bit of a luxury. You certainly would like to have him back because he makes Mississippi State a better football team. But if I had to call it today, I would say it's less than 50% that he ends up being at Mississippi State.
Ole Miss, Auburn, somewhere else, South Carolina? What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of South Carolina chatter here as of late, but I've also heard that, Washington is working extremely hard to keep him committed. Now, they're on the quarter system, so he doesn't have to enroll right away. I understand he could go as late as March and still be eligible to play this fall. So that may prove to be a factor in the whole thing, too. You begin to think about, well, it's just one more season. Well, you can spend the next 6 weeks or so kind of staying home with friends and family and, have your young son see his grandparents and things like that. So it's not maybe the same urgency, I guess, with the University of Washington. They can afford to kind of wait this thing out a little bit. But, I think at this point, no matter who you talk to, if you talk to them 2 or 3 times a day, you might get a different feeling about this. But, again, I think it's less than 50% he ends up at State. But I know Ole Miss is trying to get him as well. But at the last I heard that probably Washington or South Carolina are the most likely options. But I may feel differently tomorrow.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.